All right, in this video, I want to talk about the optimal rep range for building muscle and really talk about low rep training versus high rep training and what is best to maximize your results in the gym. Now, unfortunately, there's not a straightforward, easy answer. The first thing to really understand is what produces muscle growth. And when you're training, you're going for two different things. You're going for getting in sufficient volume to produce muscle growth, and also creating sufficient tension. So tension is the heavy lifting. That's the weight. That creates tension on the muscle. And then the volume is the total amount of reps you perform. So if you go too light and do too many reps, you don't get enough tension to trigger muscle growth. For example, you could pick up 3 pounds and do 10,000 reps, but the muscle's not gonna grow because the stimulus, the tension, is so little. There's not an adaptational component to building muscle. Conversely, to really create maximum tension in muscle, you can get a super heavy weight that you can barely lift and just lower it and slowly, and you're creating a lot of tension in the muscle, but you're not really triggering that much volume. So the answer for as far as the best rep range isn't on one extreme or the other extreme, it's somewhere in the middle. Now, when you get someone that's starting from scratch, they're a new lifter, they haven't trained, they're new to these different exercises, you don't want to start them off with a heavy weight. You don't want to start them off with a 5 rep max, a 6, 7 rep max, because frankly, they're still learning how to do the exercise. They're still learning how to do the exercise. So it's crazy to give them a weight that's super, super challenging when they're still learning. They won't even be able to lift it if it's a real 5 rep max. If their technique's not right, they're not used to it, they won't even be able to lift it. So when you're starting out, you want to start with an exercise a weight you can do about 10 times, just so you can get comfortable with it, so you can really feel the muscle. It's easier to feel the muscle and get that mind to muscle connection in the beginning when you're lifting a lighter weight for more reps, because you can kind of feel the muscle, you can feel the burn, and the weight isn't that limiting factor as far as doing proper technique. Now, as you get more advanced, and what you'll find is that you can actually get a crazy muscle activation with a 5 rep max. You know, with me, I could do 4 or 5 reps with a heavy weight and feel the muscle incredibly, but for a lot of people, they're not there yet. And that is also why when they do studies to compare, low rep training, 4 to 6 reps versus, 10 to 15 reps, in raw beginners, what happens is usually the higher reps outperform the lower reps, but that's just in the first few months of training. As you get into the intermediate lifters, the advanced lifters, if you just stick with high reps, because that's what worked in the beginning, if you just stick with a 10, 15 rep range, you quickly plateau because there's not enough tension. And it's a lot harder to produce the progressive overload to build the strength in higher rep ranges. For example, you could be doing 3 sets of, and that's why also a lot of people tend to gravitate, especially naturals, tend to gravitate towards lower reps, the 4 to 6 or 6 to 8 rep range, because it's easier for them to gain strength. So there's a lot of things at play. One of the other advantages, of course, with more of the low to moderate rep range is that when you're doing a 5 or 6 rep, weight you do for 5 or 6 reps, you get a maximum muscle fiber recruitment for the first rep. So if you're doing a weight you can curl for 6 reps, every single rep you're really triggering and bringing to play all of your muscle fibers. Now, if you were to do a 12 rep max, the first 6, 7, 8, 9 reps, you're not using all your muscle fibers because you don't need to use all of them. It's only in the last few reps where you really trigger all of the muscle fibers. So for that reason, you get more bang for your buck when you do, the 5 to 10 rep range than when you do the 10 to 15 rep range. So a lot of stuff to think about here. And the other thing you have to understand, and as we're talking about low reps versus high reps, we're talking about 2 different types of hypertrophy, 2 different types of muscle growth. The pump versus the strength. The pump is your sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Your sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, which is increasing the fluid-like substance in the muscle. Think about doing a lot of high reps, short rest, getting the pump in the muscle. You're not actually building and growing the contractual filaments of the muscle, the parts of the muscle that give you density. You're growing the fluid. You're making it bigger just by adding more volume to the muscle. Versus doing heavy lifting with longer rest periods so you don't create too much fatigue. That's actually growing the contractual filaments of the muscle, which give you more strength and more density. So there's 2 different sides of the coin. And you could use, and the other kind of thing, which is all this stuff gets very, very nuanced. The other thing you have to think about is that you could do 8 reps and you can make it pump training, right? If you do 8 reps and you rest 45 seconds, and then you do another set of 8 reps, you do multiple sets of 8 reps with 45 seconds rest, you're not building strength, you're not building that myofibrillar hypertrophy, that contractual filaments, you're doing pump training. Conversely, you could do you could do 8 reps, rest 3-4 minutes, do 8 reps again. That's a completely different training stimulus. When we're talking about rep ranges, we also need to bring into play the proper rest time. So that's pretty much all you kind of really need to know about doing the different rep ranges. The best strategy, of course, is not to limit yourself to one little tiny rep range. It's to use the whole spectrum to get the best bang for your buck, because a lot of times different exercises, different muscle groups respond better to higher reps. For your triceps, they tend to respond better for higher reps. It's hard to kind of hit your triceps with 4 to 6 reps. You kind of feel it more in the joint than the muscle. Biceps, for me, I find they do better for lower reps. I find for me, my biceps are very fast twitch, so I do better for lower reps, heavy weight, and then my triceps are more they're more slow twitch. So I need to bang up more reps to really feel the muscle. So all these rep ranges stuff, there's a lot more to it than just meets the eye. So when you hear people come out and say 4 to 6 reps is the best for building muscle, they're most likely wrong in part of their argument, but they might be right in some ways. And when some people say high reps are the best, it can be in certain areas, but you want to be using the full spectrum. And for example, if you're trying to grow your delts and you're doing lateral raises and rear delts, you can't go heavy on those. You need to get in the reps to really feel the muscle. So it all kind of crosses and intersects. My favorite way to train is to focus in the first part of your workout on heavy lifting. I'll do my first set for 4 to 6 reps, go for a personal record, nice and heavy, try and get a little bit stronger. I'll rest a few minutes, go a little bit lighter on that same exercise. This is called reverse period training. Get a couple more reps, rest a few minutes, go even lighter, get a few more reps. So I'm doing about 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10. So for my strength training, I'm hitting the whole spectrum of 4 to 10 reps. First set 4 to 6, second set lighter 6 to 8, third set 8 to 10. That's reverse pyramid training, full rest periods between those sets. And that's for my first part of my training, my heavy lifting. Then I might do some more high rep training with shorter rests, 10 to 15 reps, 1 minute rest. I might do rest pause training where you do 15 to 20 reps, then you just rest 10, 15 seconds, then get in a couple more reps, rest 10 to 15 seconds, get in a few more reps to keep the muscle constantly fatigued, so you're using all the muscle fibers. So there's a lot of ways to go about it. Doing the 1 to 3 rep range is fine for gaining strength, strengthening your nervous system so you can better produce strength. But the 1 to 3 rep range, as we talked about before, you need tension and volume. It's not enough volume to properly stimulate muscle growth. So that's what I really wanted to talk about. Most of your results as far as muscle growth is going to come from getting stronger in that 5 to 10 rep range as a natural lifter. That's where you see most of your gains because you're getting more muscle fiber recruitment for the whole time. 5 to 10 rep range is better at triggering strength gains. So you can better achieve progressive overload training in the 5 to 10 rep range. And for that reason, it is that's probably the best. That's where most of your training should be. 70% of your training should be 80%. And then the last 20%, 25%, you can do the higher reps, the shorter rest periods to get the sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, the icing on the cake. Now, finally, when you see a lot of people that build amazing bodies just doing light weights, high reps all day, invariably there's a common theme, and that's drug use. So for people that are using drugs, steroids, they seem to respond really well to high reps. That said, there's steroid guys that focus more on the strength and the heavy lifting that build amazing physiques, but you very rarely see natural lifters that do a lot of lightweight, high reps, high volume training that end up building great physiques simply because of the recovery component. It's hard to, as a natural, to be doing tons of volume, tons of reps, and still get stronger. But that's pretty much what I want to tell you. Moral of the story is you want to be using all the rep ranges. 80% of your training, 70, 80% of your training in that 5 to 10 rep range, longer rest periods, getting stronger in the 5 to 10 rep range. Then, the icing on the cake is play around with some lighter weight, higher reps, short rest periods to get a little bit of that fluid in the muscle to maximize muscle growth. And really, there's no need to ever go below 4 or 5 reps. It's going to increase your risk of injury. There's not enough reps or volume to produce muscle growth. So That's all I want to say. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, share your comments, and if you want to start to transform your body, the first step is to use my physique quiz so I can find out where you are and give you the best training and nutrition plan to build that lean, chiseled Hollywood physique. See you soon.